students and a warm welcome. I am Dr. Tripti Malika Ahuja. In this lecture, I will explain you normal microflora of the human body. So let's get started. In this lecture, you will get to know what is normal microflora, why normal microflora is present, where is normal microflora present in the human body, what is the normal microflora of skin, what is the normal microflora of different sites in the human body. First of all, the definition of normal microflora. Normal microflora is abbreviated as NMF and it is also called normal microbiota. In this lecture, we will call the normal microflora as NMF. So, this is the population of microorganisms in a normal individual. Normal individual here means in the absence of the disease. So, this individual is normal because it is non-diseased state. This NMF is diverse in the different aspects in different types of microorganism. In the human body, it is present on the skin and in the mucosal membranes. At the birth, there is no flora. It is just acquired during the birth or shortly after the birth, and it is present until the death of the individuals. This flora is present in a huge number. If we consider the human body to be made up of 10 to power 13 cells, then the microorganisms which form the NMF is 10 times this number, which is 10 to power 14 organisms. Usually these are bacteria. Normal flora may aid the host. It may sometimes also harm the host, and usually it exists as commensal, causing no effect on the host. Mostly the NMF consists of the bacteria, some yeast, and these are never viruses and parasites. Now consider how many bacteria are present on the skin. The average human body is estimated to be having 20 square feet or 2 square meter of the skin. And the number of microorganisms which form the NMF of the skin is somewhat between 86.4 to 144 billion. Such a large number. But this large number can fit into the pea seed. So you can imagine how small is a pea seed, but this large number can fit inside it because these microorganisms are very small in size. What are axonic sites? Axonic sites are usually the sterile sites. The flora is not present at each and every site of the body. There are some areas of our body which remain axonic, which remain sterile. They are never colonized by the normal flora. These sites are CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, blood, urinary bladder, uterus, fallopian tubules, middle ear, paranasal sinuses, and kidneys. Now let's see where this NMF is present in human body. So NMF is present on the skin. It is present in the mucosal surfaces which consist of mouth, also called oral cavity, respiratory tract, gastrointestinal tract, genitourinary tract. It is also present in the eye and in the ear. The NMF can be classified as transient microflora and the resident microflora. Transient microflora means These are the microorganisms which are present as NMF for very short duration. They cannot remain in the body for long duration because they get competition from the permanent flora, which is the resident flora. Example of transit microflora are meningococcus, pneumococcus, haemophilus, influenzae in nasopharynx. Resident flora is a permanent flora which is always present and at a particular body site. Now, what are the advantages of the NMF? Why our body is acting as a host for these organisms which form the NMF? NMF prevents or suppresses the colonization of the body by pathogens. It does not allow the pathogens to enter and colonize our body. Then NMF synthesizes the vitamins, especially vitamin K and B, which we cannot get from our diet. The NMF organism produce some chemicals, these are called colicins, which have the harmful effect, the inhibitory effect on the pathogens. Because of the NMF, our body is exposed to certain antigens. These antigens are called the shared antigens. And in response to the shared antigens, our immune system produces antibodies, which makes our body immune against pathogens. This figure is showing you how normal flora competes with the invading pathogens. Invading pathogens are those microorganisms which are capable of causing the infection. They are trying to invade the human host so that they can colonize and they can cause the infection. So here there are two figures on the left side. This is the normal state. In the normal state, there are the mucosal cells which are the usual site for the entry of pathogens. We can see the mucosal cells, they are occupied by number of the NMF organisms which are shown in the light color. So mucosal cells, they are the site for the attachment of the microorganism, but this site of the attachment for the microorganisms, they are occupied by the normal microflora cells. And these are the dark colored cells. These dark colored cells, these are the pathogens which are trying to enter inside the body. So when they enter inside the body, they try to enter by attaching with the mucosal cells. But since these sites of attachment are already occupied by the NMF, so they cannot attach and hence they cannot cause the infection. Whereas in this figure, the right hand side, these are the mucosal cells, but this host contains very lesser number of the NMF microorganisms. So the invaders, which are the pathogens, they can enter, they can attach with the mucosal cells. The first step of the infection process is completed and the infection will be caused in this case. In addition to this, the pathogens, they get competition for the site for attachment if there is NMF present. NMF also gives the competition for the nutrient. If NMF is present, the pathogens who are trying to cause an infection will get lesser of the nutrient. NMF also produces the inhibitory substance, bacteriocins. The example are the colicins produced by E.coli in the intestine. This is a picture in which there are the lot of microorganisms present on the host surface. Some are in the happy mood, while some are in the gloomy mood. We can see the happy faces, we can see the smiles on these faces, and these are with the frowning faces. They are happy and they are making the host happy because they are trying to protect the host body from the invaders, and these are the invaders which are trying to cause the infection on the host body. As far as the number of pathogens are happy, they are making the host also happy, and they will fight against these pathogens and will not allow the pathogens to enter and cause the infection. The NMF, they have some disadvantage also. Sometimes they can act like opportunistic pathogens. When the host immune system is impaired, then the NMF, they can overpopulate, they can grow in number, or they can enter into those sites where they should not be normally present. Then they cause the infection. This infection is called the opportunistic infection. They can also turn to be the antibiotic resistant flora, and they can invade the body when there are some invasive procedures, and they can go to the axonic sites. They may cause the infections at the axonic sites also. So this is the disadvantage of the NMF. Sometimes they can act like the opportunistic pathogens, causing the opportunistic infection. Now we will study the NMF of different body sites. The first body site is the NMF of skin. The NMF of skin consists of aerobic and anaerobic diphtheroids. For example, Corynebacterium, and one more bacteria is there, Propionibacterium. There can also be non-hemolytic aerobic and anaerobic staphylococci, Staphylococcus epidermidis. Occasionally, there can also be Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus. There can be some gram-positive aerobic spore-forming bacilli also. There can be alpha-hemolytic streptococci, which belongs to very dense group. There can be enterococci, the Enterococcus species. Gram-negative coliform bacilli can also be there, and they can also be the Acinetobacter. Among the yeast, there can be the Pityrosporum ovale, and there can be the Pityrosporum orbiculare. When they outgrow in number, they can cause the infection of the scalp, which is called the dandruff. This is one bacteria, Propionibacterium acnes. This bacteria is lipophilic. It loves the sebum. So it grows near the sebaceous gland where there is lot of sebum. When the number of this Propionibacterium acnes, which is the normal flora of the skin, it increases, then it may cause the problem, which is the acne vulgaris, commonly called pimples, a very much common problem of the skin in number of individuals. Now we will see the NMF of the oral cavity. When a child is born, then the child is born with a sterile mouth. But during the delivery, the child may get the flora from the mother's vagina. Soon after the birth, the child gets non-hemolytic streptococci and aerobes, Staphylococcus, Neisseria diphtheroids, micrococci, gram-positive aerobic spore-forming bacilli, and lactobacillus. In the gum pockets, there can be fusiform bacilli, Treponines. On the tongue and palate, there can be Streptococcus salivarius, and on the teeth, there is a presence of a bacteria which is Streptococcus mutans. This is the normal flora of the tooth surface, but it can also cause the problem of dental caries and the dental plaque. The lactobacillus and actinomyces, they can cause the secondary infection. So here tooth is shown having the dental plaque. The primarily causative agent is Streptococcus mutans. The secondary agents are lactobacillus and actinomyces, which are the part of the NMF of the oral cavity. Third site is the NMF of the respiratory tract. We can divide this tract into the upper and the lower. Upper in the red color, lower in the blue color. Usually the lower tract, which consists of trachea and the lungs, it does not has a NMF. But some individuals who are normal, still they have the fungus, the Pneumocystis carinii, in their lungs. In the case of the upper respiratory tract, we can divide it into the nose and nasopharynx. Nose has the flora consisting of Staphylococcus epidermidis and Staphylococcus aureus. Nasopharynx have the avirulent strains of Streptococcus pneumoniae, alpha hemolytic streptococci, Staphylococcus, Corynebacterium, Neisseria, Braunmella and Micrococcus. NMF of eye. NMF of eye consists of Staphylococcus epidermidis, Corynebacterium, specifically the species Xerosis, Streptococcus pneumoniae, Neisseria, Moraxella and Haemophilus parainfluenzae. NMF of external ear. We can divide the ear into three parts: the external ear, middle ear and the internal ear. Remember, middle ear and internal ear, they don't have the NMF, they are the axonic sites. NMF is found only in the external ear. The external ear has coagulase negative staphylococci, which is also called cons. Corynebacterium. Among the fungal flora, there can be Aspergillus, Alternaria, Penicillium, Candida and Saccharomyces. This is showing the constitution of the gastrointestinal tract, starting from the esophagus. Next part is the stomach, then there is the small intestine, there is the large intestine and the last part is the anus. On the left side, there are the number of the bacteria which are present. We can see this number is quite large number. So now we will study the NMF of different parts of the gastrointestinal tract. The first one is the stomach. The stomach has the gastric HCl, because of which very sparse flora is present. The flora which is present, that is acid tolerant. The Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, Lactobacillus, Streptococcus, Helicobacter and Candida, they can be present in the stomach, which can tolerate the gastric HCl. The second part of gastrointestinal tract is the small intestine, which is divided into the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum also has a less flora because of the effect of the gastric HCl, bile juices and the pancreatic juices. Still, there are some gram-positive cocci and rods which are present on duodenum. In the case of jejunum, the flora consists of Enterococcus faecalis, Lactobacillus, diphtheroids and the yeast Candida albicans. The flora of the ileum resembles that of the large intestine, consisting anaerobic bacteria and members of family Enterobacteriaceae. The flora of large intestine. This is having the largest microbial community in the human body. The number is also large, as well as there is a large diversity. In the fecal matter, which is present in the large intestine, 1 gram of the fecal matter may have 10 to the power 12 organisms. And these organisms, they belong to 400 different species. They can be anaerobic gram-negative bacilli belonging to the genus Bacteroides. The species are Fragilis, Melangenicus, Oralis, Fusobacterium. Gram-positive bacilli, the Phytobacterium, Eubacterium and Lactobacillus can also be present. Facultative anaerobes belonging to the family Enterobacteriaceae, Escherichia, Proteus, Klebsiella and Enterobacter are in the large intestine. The yeast Candida albicans is also there. The flagellated protozoa Trichomonas hominis is present in cecum. 3 genus of amoeba, Antamoeba, Endolemix and Itamoeba are also present. Among this, Antamoeba histolytica is present as commensal, but sometimes it can cause the amoebic dysentery. The flora of the genitourinary tract. They are taken together, genitus and urinary tract, because of their proximity. The upper urinary tract, which consists of kidney, ureter and urinary bladder, is free from the microorganism. So these are the axonic sites. They should not have the NMF. The lower portion of urethra has NMF in both male and female, few bacteria, Staphylococcus epidermidis and Pterococcus faecalis and Corynebacterium are always present. In both male and female genitals, Microbacterium sphagmatis, Cardinella vaginalis, alpha hemolytic streptococci, Bacteroides, Chlamydia trachomatis, Ureaplasma urolithecum, they are present as NMF. The flora of the female genitals, particularly the vagina region, is quite complex and it keeps on changing because of the variation in the pH and because of the change of the female hormones. The flora of vagina mainly consists of the acid-tolerant lactobacilli, the species Lactobacillus acidophilus. It is also called Dorbrunins bacillus. This bacteria ferments glycogen, which is produced by the vaginal epithelium, and converts it into the lactic acid, because of which the pH of vagina becomes acidic in between 4.4 to 4.6. At this acidic pH, the lactobacillus can survive, but at this acidic pH, the pathogens, they are excluded. So this was the account of the NMF of the human body. This is very important for the students of the microbiology. Usually they get a question in the entrance examination and a short note in their courses of the medical microbiology. Hope you have liked this lecture. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed it yet, and press the bell notification so that you can get the notification of the upcoming videos very soon. Thanks and bye for now.